A very good morning to you. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. South Sudanese lawmakers stormed out of a budget presentation by the finance minister on Thursday, with one citing frustrations over non-payment of salaries to civil servants and soldiers. The disruption highlights how delicate South Sudan's government, months after the latest peace deal was signed to end a civil war often fought along ethnic lines. 400,000 have died in the conflict, people, and millions have fled their homes. In oil production, the country's main revenue earner has been crippled. Parliament Speaker Anthony Lino adjourned the meeting after lawmakers expressed dismay that a new budget was being presented while civil servants have been owed salaries. International Monetary Fund said this month that South Sudan's reliance on huge spending cut to balance the budget was unsustainable, adding that the strategy had paralyzed government services and led to an accumulation of arrears, including wages. Secretary General of the Norwegian Refugee Council, Jan Egeland, said on Thursday displaced families in Ethiopia are enduring subhuman conditions without enough food and shelter. Egeland said many displaced persons are without food. He said there are 3,500 families in an abandoned factory sharing 16 overflowing latrines flooded by torrential rains during a visit to the southern town of Dila on Wednesday. There was no immediate comment from the government, which says 2.5 million citizens are displaced inside the country, nearly 2 million of them fleeing conflict. The Geneva-based Internal Displacement Monitoring Center gave a higher figure last month, saying an estimated 3 million Ethiopians had fled conflict and drought by April this year. Egeland said the United Nations Ethiopia appeal for this year is nearly $1.5 billion, but he has only received a third of those funds. We'll be back after this message. Dutch solar firm Knot have announced it will invest $70 million in the production of solar lighting products in Rwanda, raising the country's prospect of achieving universal coverage by 2024. At least 4 million Rwandans will be connected to electricity in the next 5 years if the proposed solar factory begins operations. The development comes after the government said it had signed an agreement with the firm early this month to manufacture and distribute solar home systems. A local newspaper has reported that under the agreement, Knot will set up a factory in Rwanda for manufacturing solar home systems, while the government will be obliged to purchase solar systems from the firm for some 100,000 households in the next 3 years. Knot's chief operating officer in Rwanda, Solange Mutesindaya, says the solar systems will be sold to Rwandans at affordable prices. With the size of investment, the government is also keen on supporting the firm to tap into the export market in the region as it increasingly bids to promote its Made in Rwanda program to help bridge the trade deficit. Visit our website, annafrica.news. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. I am Olajumoke Olatunji.